Hello everyone, welcome back to another video of Read With Me Vincent, and my name is Vincent. We will continue where we left off last time. Here we go. There are several primary advantages to this process of summary. The first advantage is that I genuinely come to understand what the person is saying. Of this, Rogers notes, sounds simple, doesn't it? But if you try it, you will discover it is one of the most difficult things you have ever tried to do. If you really understand a person in this way, if you are willing to enter his private world and see the way life appears to him, you run the risk of being changed yourself. You might see it his way. You might find yourself influenced in your attitudes or personality. This risk of being changed is one of the most frightening prospects most of us can face. More satirary words have rarely been written. The second advantage to the act of summary is that it aims the person in consolidation and utility of memory. Consider the following situation. A client in my practice recounts a long, meagerly emotional letter account of a difficult period in his or her life. We summarize it back and forth. The account becomes shorter. It is now summed up in the client's memory and in mine. In the form we discussed, it is now a different memory. In many ways, with luck, a better memory. It is now less weighty. It is now distilled, reduced to the gist. We have extracted the moral of the story. It becomes a description of the cause and the result of what happened, formulated such that repetition of the tragedy and pain becomes less likely in the future. This is what happened, this is why, this is what I have to do to avoid such things from now on. That's a successful memory. That's the purpose of memory. You remember the past, not so that it is accurately recorded to say again, but so that you are prepared for the future. The third advantage to employing the Rorian method is the difficulty it poses to the careless construction of straw man arguments. When someone opposes you, it is very tempting to oversimplify, parody, or distort his or her position. This is counterproductive game designed both to harm the dissenter and to unjustly raise your personal status. By contrast, if you are called upon to summarize someone's position so that the speaking person agrees with that summary, you may have to state the argument even more clearly and succinctly than the speaker have yet managed. If you first give the devil his due, looking at his arguments from his perspective, you can, one, find the value in them and learn something in the process, or two, hone your positions against them if you still believe they are wrong and straighten your arguments further against challenge. This will make you much stronger. Then you will no longer have to misrepresent your opponent's position, and may well have bridged at least part of the gap between the two of you. You will also be much better at withstanding your doubts. Sometimes it takes a long time to figure out what someone genuinely means when they are talking. This is because often they are articulating the ideas for the first time. they can't do it without wandering down blind alleys or making contradictory or even nonsensical claims. This is partly because talking and thinking is often more about forgetting than about remembering. To discuss an event, particularly something emotional like a death or serious illness, is to slowly choose what to leave behind. To begin, however much that is not necessarily must be put into words. In words, the emotion-laden speaker must recount the whole experience in detail. Only then can be central narrative cause and consequences come into focus or consolidate itself. Only then can the moral of the story be derived. Imagine that someone holds a stack of $100 bills, some of which are counterfeit. All the bills might have to be spread to a table so that each can be seen and any differences noted before the genuine can be distinguished from the false. This is the sort of methodical approach you have to take when really listening to someone trying to solve a problem or communicate something important. If upon learning that some of the bills are counterfeit, you too casually dismiss all of them as you would if you were in a hurry or otherwise unwilling to put in the effort, the person will never learn to separate wheat from chaff. So what I've read so far is that the method of communication between two persons is to use the summarize method when a speaker recount a story, especially emotional story, and the listener can try to summarize what the person is saying. That way they can extract the lessons from what was said so the speaker can learn the lesson from it so they don't make the mistakes again. Um, Usually speaker are able to says a lot of things, and sometimes those things may be come from a point of emotional argument rather than a fact. So how do you stilt against it? That's why you have to try to break it down. I myself have tried this method, and it's very difficult. Sometimes you digest it so much that it kind of make the other person feel like all the detail they have put in, all the effort they have articulated towards you may wasn't go through the the listener's head. So how do I ensure that I validate their position of the work they put in, trying to distill all the information in their head? So it's very difficult to balance. I myself still working on it. I may not use it a lot of time, but whenever I remember, I try to use it. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening.